Hello! As usual, some more Steve's Factory Manager updates, but it's not that usual that I'm riding a horse while doing so. Well, this actually makes sense if I ride along this thing here, and there we go. Now the horse has some diamond armor like that. So one of the new updates is that the inventory relay can access horses. So they can access the inventory there, and you can access the chest here as well, and donkeys, and yeah, so that's pretty neat. You can load it with armor if you so wish. You might have seen in the interface there that we had something else, which is this block. That's a new block. That is the creative supplier. Basically, what that will do is, well, let's see. Let's put it there, and let's put it here. And then if we, well, drop something in here, it's going to get moved there, but this has no inventory, so it's getting destroyed. So it's like a void chest of some sort. But it's called Creative Supplier, so that means it can supply things as well. So if you want to, you can pull things out of it. And if you pull things out of it, well, it has an infinite amount of stuff. And as we also can see here, I fixed the bug where you couldn't really do this. So at the moment, this is turning itself on and off constantly. So each tick it turns on or off like that. And now we get a ton of apples. So how is this actually working? Well, when I have a redstone signal here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this emitter. That's going to trigger the whole thing. Because I'm looking for, on this receiver there, redstone receiver there, I'm looking for either a high pulse or a low pulse. So every time it's going to flip between one of those, and then in the end it's going to flip this. But it's doing a few things before that. It's checking that this lever is actually on, which allows us to turn it off by just flipping that off. But then we have this thing here. So we have selected Creative Supplier, which allows us to get an infinite stuff, amount of stuff, and then what I've done is simply set it to apples, and I set it to 999. If you don't specify an amount, you only get one each time, and you can't use this with a blacklist. If you set it to blacklist, it won't give you anything. So if you set it to whitelist and then you just specify the items here that you want it to pull out, then it can pull out that amount of items, and then I simply just output it to the droppers. So the droppers just have a full inventory of apples all the time. So if I start this again, we can see that it's decreasing one item when it shoots out, but then it refills it right away from the supplier like so. So you can just grab an infinite amount of item from that. So obviously it's for creative mode only, which is why it's called like it is. But one more thing worth noting is that it can also create and dispose of fluids. So it works exactly the same for fluids. So you just go into whitelist mode if you want them, and then you specify the fluids you want, the amount you want. If you don't specify the amount, you get one bucket each time, and that's pretty much it. But, well, we have quite a lot of apples now. Let's get rid of those. Boom. What just happened? Well, what I've set it up here, this is an inventory relay, and here I have a redstone receiver, so I want to step on the pressure plate up there. I'm giving, triggering this thing here, which moves everything from the relay to the creative supplies. So here I'm using the supplies as a void chest of some sort, and the relay to interact directly with the player. That's pretty cool, right? So you can use this for supplying you with a specific amount of items. So maybe when you go out on a mining trip, you make sure that you have one stack of torches. You can do that. Just set it up as a blacklist to the relay with one stack of torches. Or rather a whitelist, sorry. So you have a whitelist of 64. That means that nothing more than 64 torches will go in there. So obviously you in survival you would use a normal chest for that. You can also drop off your iron ore when you're done. So you come into your base, you run over this pressure plate, it gets all your items, and it puts them into your sorting system, your processing system, things like that. You can also use it to equip your armor. To do so, you basically specify, when we have the input here, if we want to remove just the armor, what we would do would obviously be to set an ID range here, 36 to 39. That's your armor slots. So now we would only remove the armor. So to show that, I'm going to grab, a dispenser here, so that shouldn't be removed. And then we can go to helmet. So then I'm going to wear a gold helmet there. So when I step there, I lost my helmet, but I still have the dispenser. You can use it in the opposite direction, of course, so you equip your armor just fine. But you might think, well, this is going to be very easy to abuse, right? You can just, well, have this thing steal all the items from a user, and then you can just, well, use them yourself. Well, this is not actually an inventory relay. It's an advanced version of an inventory relay. So the only difference between the normal and the advanced one is that the advanced one can also interact with players. But that's a huge difference, actually. So to craft it, first of all, just combine the normal relay with a piece of lapis. But if we actually, let's grab one of those. So that's the advanced inventory relay. So now if I right-click this, you can't right-click on a normal one. But on an advanced one we can, and now this gives you the description that, well, this relay can interact with players as well as the normal inventories, but, well, people need to give you permission to do so first. So if I click give permission here, that means that, well, anyone can, well, everyone that have permission to do so can now tell this relay to interact with me. And then when I right click here, I can only do this because I'm an editor. As an editor, you can decide which players this block should interact with. But since I placed the block, I'm automatically an owner, which is one level higher than the editor. So I'm still an editor. So I can click activate here, and now the inventory can access my inventory. Well, the relay can access my inventory, but then I can deactivate like so. So I can just go back and forth like that. But as an editor, well, yeah, as an editor, I can modify these things here. So if I go to show to editors, that means that only those with editor permission can actually watch this list. I've set up a few things here to make it easier to explain. So in this example here, I'm not an owner, I'm not an editor, and Sir Adview here is not an owner nor an editor either. So now if I give my permission here, I can, well, I put it there, I have nothing to do here. So now I've given this block permission to use my inventory. That doesn't mean it will use my inventory, just because an editor has to approve of this. So maybe it's the system that loads your armor, well, gives you armor. Then as someone from the outside world, from outside your base, you don't want them to just go in here, select their names, and then all of a sudden they can steal your armor. So they have to give permission, and then you as the owner or the editor has to approve of it, which is basically this thing when you activate it, as we saw over here. So that's, if the green one here is lit, that means that now it's going to access, but we still have permission here to do so. So I can't activate Sir Adview here because I don't have that permission. So Adview could, of course, go over there and then give permission. So now I've given my permission here, so the editor could modify that there. Here we have another thing. We can give permission here, but in this example, I'm actually the owner. As you can see, I have this list here, show to editors and show list all. So now if I go to Sir Adview here, what I can do is activate. I can activate my own. I can also remove the user. That means that I won't have Sir Adview's permission anymore. So maybe if you want to clean up, a lot of people gave you permission, but you don't really need them. You can remove them if you want to. You can also click Make Editor, which now makes Sir Adview here an editor, and then he will get the editor access as well. And this one I've set it up differently. So here we can see that Sir Adview is the owner, but still I'm just a normal read-only access here. So I can't do much there. However, this one, it's the same thing. Actually, Sir Adview is the owner here as well, but I don't have the access to actually read anything about this. So I know I can tell whether they are accessing my inventory or not, and like my status here, but then I can revoke my permission. But let's see. Here we go. Since it depends on this mode. So show list to all, that means that everyone can look at a list. But if you just show it to editors, then you need to be an editor to see the list in the first place. So here I don't have that permission. So I can give permission there, but I can't see what everything is set to. However, I can see if they are actually using my inventory or not. And then in this final example here, we can see that here I'm just an editor, not a owner, and because I'm just an editor, I can't make other people editors, but I can. Yeah, actually, maybe I missed that. Yeah, here. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I did that there. So I can't do that. So basically, the only difference between the owner and the editors are that the owner plays the block, and therefore the owner can specify who's an editor and who's not an editor. Right. So that's pretty much it. Not exactly though, because if we take a look in here, there are no permissions. No user has been selected. That's because we have this enable creative mode and disable creative mode. So if you are the owner or an editor and you are in creative mode, you can simply enable creative mode, which is going to reverse everything. So now this will work for anyone. I don't need to have their permission to actually steal their items, give them items, But that's only for creative mode, so you can use that for maybe as a server admin, maybe as a adventure map builder or something like that. So you can do that, but only in creative mode, otherwise you need a permission. But I said reverse as well, so if we activate it now, it's going to go into restricted access, which means you're not going to access it, but if we deactivate it, it's actually going to say creative access, which means that we will have access to that, which is actually what we saw over here. In this one, I don't have owner access or anything, but I can still see that I have creative access, which means this block is in its creative state, like so. So, like I said, you can always see your own mode, even if you don't have access over here. But here it says no access, which means it won't access my inventory, like so. So that's pretty much it for now. So we have the creative supplies, nice for maps there. We have some bug fixes there only. It works with horses, but that's the normal one. Here we go. And then we have the advanced one that also can interact with players. It can still do everything that the normal ones could do as well. But of course, you need permission. Unless you're in creative mode, then you can get permission from everyone by just clicking that button. That's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching, and good luck.